Hey guys. Wow, lights are really bright. I want to start with a story. Oh man, they're really bright. Whoa. It's the story about the time that I first let a stranger live in the same house as me. Um, yeah, it's relevant, I promise. Uh, so, have you guys heard of Airbnb before? Those of you who haven't, it's probably the craziest business idea you can think of. It's why don't you let a stranger stay in your house and let them pay you? And they're now worth $30 billion. So for some reason, people have allowed it to happen. I tried it out for the first time, thought give it a go, see how it works. And within, I think, 7 or 8 hours, somebody said, hey, I need a place to crash. So I thought, perfect, let's go. And as you do when you meet somebody for the first time, you want to find out a little bit about their story and what they're doing and what they're up to and why they're there. This guy, he was actually an employee at UCL. And this was in a different country. So obviously I thought, what are you doing here? And he said, you know, he was working in the science profession. I don't quite know where. I studied politics and economics, so I don't really care. But it was something important, apparently. But he was there for 4 or 5 years. He had a very stable life, consistent, probably relatively high income, a job 9 to 5 that he could keep going year after year after year. And all of a sudden, he's in the middle of a different country for something completely different. You would never guess why he was there. And like, you know, that time at UCL was all great and stuff, but I want to become a barista. Baristas are, you know, they make coffee for a living. And I thought, okay, how does that work? It's like, no, I really like making coffee. I really enjoy it. You know, on the weekends, I had a stall at kind of a marketplace, and I'd go there and I'd learn and I'd improve every single week, and that's what my passion was. And I thought, you know what, forget it. I'm going to get together a business plan, rent out a place, and start my own coffee place or coffee house. So, wow, it's a bold move. Because he left a stable job to come to a different country to become a barista for a company so he can learn how to do it himself. He had his business plan ready and everything like that. He just needed to learn a little bit more. There is a question I want to ask you guys, and it'd be interesting to see what you think here. Hands up if you think this person came from a minority background. A minority background, black, brown, Middle Eastern. So this person that left UCL to become a coffee maker or a barista. I can probably see 6 or 7 or 8 people. He was white. And it's not a problem, but it's just, my mum's right there. If I told her I'm going to go make coffee for a living, it wouldn't happen. Because one thing you realize, especially being here in the UK, and with the struggles and the journey that our family's made to be here, stability is something they didn't have, so stability is something they want to give you. And stability comes in professions like medicine or accounting or engineering or whatever else. So to be that bold and brave and to just jump to do something that nobody around you would ever have done, it's crazy. And I say our people like me and people like you that come from not so well-off backgrounds. And you don't have that many connections, probably. Right? You don't have that uncle that was necessarily a leading banker or that aunt that was working for this profession or started this multi-million-dollar company. You don't necessarily have that. So this drive to want to start things doesn't really exist. Up until now, there have been a lot of inspirational talks and a ton of amazing jokes, like a ton of amazing jokes. But now it's about starting to think of where do we fit in? Because it's very easy to get to the state of, you come to an event, like, events are great, and you go out thinking, yeah, I'm going to do something with my life, and you post a Facebook status, yeah, you got this. But then 2 or 3 or 4 days later, it's like you've still got that assignment that wasn't done, and life goes back to normal. So what do you do? Like, what now? I don't normally try to focus on action points, but I do think it is important given what Empowerful is about. What can you do as a takeaway to think, you know what, this is what I'm going to do now to make a move to do what I want? And I think the first question to ask yourself, and I struggle with this a lot, is who are you? Like, seriously, not who do you think you are, or how do people perceive you, or how do your friends see you? Like, who are you? What do you love? I think it was mentioned earlier on with Noor about social media creating this perception of perfectionism. Like, your life can look really, really good on social media. A couple of filters here and there, perfect quality pictures, amazing. But then you're not happy. Like, you're not okay. The world thinks you're okay, but you're not. And so you think, what's the point? And so the first question to ask, going back to who are you, the follow-up is kind of, what do you love? Like, what do you really love doing? And it could be the smallest thing. It could be the biggest thing. You could love medicine, but you could love making coffee too, and it's okay. Forget about what you're going to do with it for a moment. Just kind of focus on right now. What do you love doing? I'm going to pause for about half a minute just to let you think about that. What do you love doing? What kind of keeps you up at night? Like, there are certain things in life where you don't mind staying up thinking about it. Like, you dream about it. You wake up and that's on your mind. During university, you spend your time doing that. What is that thing? All right. I want to teach you guys something called rapid prototyping. It's really, really cool, incredible concept. And it's something that I want you guys to apply to that thing that you love. Because oftentimes, and I've seen this time and time again as well, where you look at a really big company and you say, I love that, I want to do that, but I can't. Thing is, it didn't start like that. It started as the smallest, silliest thing possible that can never become a company ever. It can never become a thing ever. I'm looking back at the first ever event that I planned, by the way. It's an interesting story because what I used to do at the very start, I think in first year of university to try and pay for my tuition fees, I put together an event where I teach economics. Except the structure of these events were not very event-like. I'd send emails with kind of one-line description saying, hey, do you want a course in economics? That was literally, and no pictures, nothing. Like an email to people that I had on my mailing list that I knew. So 90% of it was spam, but I sent it anyway. Right? Sounds silly, but you just get started. And then I'll tell you a bit about payments. So a lot of the students that came were from college, UK definition of college, so high school. All right? A lot of them came from colleges. The way payments would work, my cousin or my sister would find that person that would agree to come to the course. My cousin or sister would take cash from them without a receipt and give me that cash, and I put it in my pocket. Doesn't sound like a company or anything like that. But the biggest thing that I took away from that was that it took about a week to get something together, like to just start. I mentioned rapid prototyping. What you need to break down is what is the very least you need to exist. So that thing that you're really passionate about, or that thing that you love so much, how can you start really, really, really quickly? I mentioned Airbnb and how they're worth $30 billion now. They started because the founders needed money to stay in the Bay Area because it's incredibly expensive. So what they did was they rented their sofa bed to foreigners that would come to conferences. And they thought, hey, people are actually willing to pay for this stuff. So one of the guys that lived in that house said, you know what, I'll sleep on the sofa, charge a little bit more, they can stay in my room. And there came a point where they weren't making any money, so they started to sell cereal boxes that were branded by presidential candidates in the US. None of this stuff is scalable. So none of this stuff would turn into this billion-dollar industry or company that becomes exactly what you want. But that's not the point. Because the last thing you want to do is spend your life planning something that nobody really wants and nobody's going to use. So you want to try and identify what is that thing of benefit that you can provide. So to give you an example, if somebody's really into, I don't know, baking, cooking, right? It's not hard to start. It sounds small, but all you really need to do is, if you're at a university, go to a society and start serving food. Even if it comes to losing, I don't know, £1, £2 per item, it's fine. The single most important piece of advice that I can give you walking away from this is the importance of just existing. Just be. Don't let it stay in your mind, because dreams come and go, and nobody's ever going to care that, oh, I had that idea once. I could have done that, but you didn't. And you've heard this time and time again, and I'm going to end in this sentence. Actions speak louder than words. Thank you.